The guy never asks anything, they just park their trucks in my other lane.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call this public meeting to here. So this is a public meeting as required by subsection 3412 of the Planning Act to afford any person an opportunity to make representation with respect to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment respecting 285 Bridge Street. The purpose of the amendment is to permit an expanded range of uses on the property. Now, I'd ask if any members of council have a disclosure of interest concerning this proposal. And I will note none. Deputy Clerk, what method of notice and when was the notice given to the public for this meeting?
Mr. Chair, as per requirements of the Planning Act, notice was mailed by regular post to every owner of land within 120 meters of the subject land and applicable agencies on June the 29th, 2022. Notice was posted to the property by municipal staff as well as the municipal website, and notice was displayed in the weekly CBuzz advertisement.
Thank you. This time I'd like to introduce our planner, Mr. Kevin McClure. Kevin, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Marks. I'll just share my screen. So as has been indicated, this is a public meeting for a draft zoning bylaw amendment for 285 Bridge Street in Port Stanley. As you can see on the screen, the location of the subject land is at the corner of Colburn and Bridge Streets. And the application itself is proposing to change the lands from a site-specific institutional zone, the IN-4 zone, to a site-specific business zone 1, B1-25 zone. Ultimately, the area itself is designated for commercial use, but the property and the site-specific zoning only allows for a medical center and a day nursery as permitted uses on the site. This would recognize those specific uses, but also bring it into conformity with the general provisions of the B1 zone, which is consistent with the area. This brings us to the amendment itself. Part 1 of the amendment and part 2 of the amendment are repealing the previous bylaws that brought forward the site-specific zoning on the property. The first one was bringing in the medical center use, and the second one was bringing in the site-specific provisions for the day nursery. So by going through this, amendment process, those are no longer needed. So those bylaws are being repealed. Part 3 of the amendment introduces a Schedule A to the bylaw, being map part 3AT. That will form part of the bylaw. And part 4 of the amendment designates the lands shown on Schedule A in heavy solid lines as B1-25 and provides that that area itself is subject to the general provisions of the 10.2.1 of bylaw 1507. And again, that's the general provisions of the B1 zone in the Port Stanley bylaw. So that can be seen here on the Schedule AT, so 3AT. Part 5 of the amendment then further adds a section to the B1 zone section, being a special provision, being subsection 10.2.2.25, defines the area shown on zoning map part 3AT as B1-25, adds for those additional permitted uses that were permitted in the institutional zone, being a medical center and a day nursery as licensed under the Day Nurseries Act. Adds again that there's the additional permitted building structures being for those additional permitted uses noted above. Provides that the side yards be 3 meters. Again, this is a carryover from the site-specific institutional zone that's currently on the property. And then provides for off-street parking of a minimum of 5 parking spaces shall be provided. Again, another carryover. So then the exceptions to the bylaw are those specific to the side yard setback that are slightly different than the B1 zone. Again, this just reflects that what the current side yard setbacks were in the, in the institutional, site-specific institutional zone. And then part 3 of the amendment introduces Schedule B to the bylaw, being zoning map 3 to bylaw 1507, which includes all the changes made to that schedule and zoning map to date through this amendment and the previous amendments that have occurred, as can be seen on the screen here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. I'd like to ask our deputy clerk, have you had any written submissions on the proposal?
Mr. Chair, no correspondence has been received.
All right, thank you. Before opening the meeting to questions from the public, I'll advise that if you're listening on your computer, tablet, or smartphone, please click the raise hand icon. And if you have called into the meeting using a telephone, please dial star 9. The questions will be taken in a sequential order. When given the opportunity to speak, please provide your name and address for the record. And now open the meeting to questions from the public. Do we have any? It does not look like we have. Second time, still no one. I will ask if there's any members of council have questions. And I'm not seeing any. All right, then, in my opinion, the public has been given a fair opportunity to express their views regarding the proposal. Again, I'll state, everyone has been given a fair opportunity to be heard. If there are no further questions, please be advised that any person wishing further information on the actions of council regarding the passing of a bylaw on the proposed amendment should email Diane Wilson at dwilson@centralalgon.org, indicating which public meeting they wish to be notified on and providing their name and address. Those who do not have access to a computer and wish to be notified should call Diane Wilson at 519-631-4860, extension 286, and provide the same information. This public meeting is now concluded. Any amendment to the bylaw will be considered at a future meeting of council. Thank you.